Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to another PalaView Market Research video. Today, we're going to be discussing a very unique market opportunity. I actually don't even know if there's another video like this that describes to you this opportunity. This opportunity is an alternative to capitalization financing different types of projects. And like we discussed yesterday in the context of real world assets and the tokenization of real world assets, I wanted to offer you guys another perspective, another opportunity that is available to you in this context of like, what are these new asset classes that are going to be able to be unlocked or used in a new context with this technological innovation that is decentralized finance, specifically when it comes to governing decentralized finance protocols on intangible real world assets. I know that's a lot, but this is kind of a very education based video. So stick with me to the end because you will not want to miss what I'm about to describe to you, because not a lot of people are too privy to this. And I've learned a lot about this over this last in 2024 season for the PalaView Market Research newsletter. We've covered a few businesses that are leveraging this model, and and this model is still, it's still an early model for financing. So you're about to see why that this is such a alpha kind of opportunity for you. Okay, so what is streaming? Streaming refers to a financing agreement where a company agrees to sell a portion of its future production at a fixed discounted price to another entity known as a streaming company. Okay, this arrangement benefits both parties and is typically used as an alternative to traditional forms of financing like debt or equity. Now, this is mostly used today in the context of mining operations, like mining literal gold. Okay, so let's walk through this because there's a few different features as to why this is so interesting. So, features of gold streaming. You have a prepayment for future production. The streaming company, the company that is providing an upfront payment to the gold mine itself, either in a lump sum or in installment payments. In exchange, the mining company offers them the right to purchase gold at a set price in the future, aka discounted purchase price. The agreed purchase price for the gold is usually below market value, ensuring profitability for the streaming company. There's no ownership of assets like with a traditional equity investment where you would actually own part of the mine. The streaming company does not take ownership of the mining assets or operations. Instead, it secures rights to the product, okay? Rights to the product itself at an agreed upon predetermined price. Now, these are long-term agreements. Ideally, you want to have them be, like the lifespan of the mine would be amazing, right? Because let's keep walking through this, right? Because there's a lot of obvious advantages to both parties, okay? For the mining company, they get immediate capital without having to, take on debt or give up operational control. Because when you give up equity in your mine, right, you are actually giving up your percentage of ownership, which is your control, okay? You also don't have repayment obligations if you're the mining company because it's only tied, like they only pay it down because of production, right? So you can literally not, because what the issue with like a typical debt financing or even like a construction loan for a real estate project, right? You have to make those monthly payments as you build the project. So with this type of financing agreement, you don't have to pay as you go. You pay only when production begins. And for the streaming company, there are predictable revenues. So streaming companies lock in gold at a discount, ensuring potential profit if gold prices increase, which I'm about to walk through an example of that really soon here. And portfolio diversification. These companies typically invest in multiple mine projects to spread risk. And it doesn't just need to be gold, guys. It can be copper, silver, tungsten, anything, okay? Now, let's walk through this example because Wheaton Precious Metals is something that we publish reports on. Highly recommend you guys just not necessarily invest in them at all, just learn about how this business works, okay? A streaming company like Wheaton Precious Metals might provide $100 million upfront to a mining company developing a gold mining operation. In return, they secure the right to purchase 10% of the gold production at at $500 per ounce. If the market price of gold rises to $2,000 per ounce, the streaming company profits significantly from the price difference, right? So imagine I give a mine, like this, saying a $1 million loan, right? Or $500,000 loan. It doesn't even need to be that much, but you guarantee that you can buy X amount, X percent at X price. And if that price fucking 4 or 5X's, you still can buy the gold at $500 per ounce, and you can arbitrage that value because the market's saying it's worth $2,000 per ounce, but you have access to gold at $500 per ounce. This is great business, guys. So how do we think about this in a more elevated context? How can we apply this streaming model to other areas of markets, other areas of the economy? Okay, so let's think about this. So I titled this slide, Industries with Untapped Potential for this Streaming Model, AKA specifically targeting this niche of intangible RWA or tangible RWA in the context of DeFi. So these are three I really, really like. Space exploration, especially asteroid mining. Because if you can, think about that. If you basically take a chunk of capital or you raise some money, or maybe you create a DAO that's dedicated to only helping these asteroid mining companies mine, and you can agree upon a massively discounted price, and maybe those prices soar 5, 6x, and then you have a lifetime, and you get a lifetime negotiation on that. You're setting yourself up for, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say, and especially if it's if it's the actual asteroid mining entity and what it's able to capture and bring back versus a specific asteroid. Does that make sense? These things are so much closer than you think, especially in the category of asteroid mining. The amount of tens, hundreds of billions of dollars have already been invested in the space is crazy. So another probably much low-hanging fruit, more realistic example would be like art, right? So if you got a buddy who's an artist and you want to help him pay and you really believe in him or something, you can fund some of, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, and I'm someone who makes sculptures and paints and stuff like that every once in a while, and that's just expensive. Like canvases, paint, all that stuff's expensive. So helping fund that for exchange of future sales, we're like, hey, I get to buy your art at $100 a piece, even when it's worth maybe $5,000 a piece, right? That would be a smart thing to do. And because they actually already do this with music and things in the music production world, right? All right, last one, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, drug development. So this is a little bit more intuitive. And this, if you didn't watch my video yesterday, please do, because we kind of talk about these science-based DAOs, right? So I actually think there's a huge opportunity for a DAO to be created that develops drugs, and they, with the partners that they develop the drugs with, you take these kind of streaming rights to them. Because what you can then do is the DAO can then whip up its own kind of distribution company where it sells the drug, and it has maybe a 40% locked in margin because the market prices it 40, maybe 60, maybe over 100% higher than your negotiated price in the front end of it, right? So this is something I really would encourage all of you to sit and learn about, because you want to, when it comes to business, when it comes to negotiation, when it comes to all these things, you want to just have as many tools in your toolkit as possible. And this is something that I'm surprised I'd never learned about in business school, and all that shit. Okay. All right, guys, that's today's video. Hope you have a great Friday, and we will talk again soon. Later.